Welcome to DC Doom, the series where I watch and review every single DC movie and television series on my quest to become the most prolific reviewer of all time. Today, we're talking about Batman Returns, released in 1992 and directed by Tim Burton. It stars Michael Keaton returning as Batman, Danny DeVito as the Penguin, Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, and Christopher Walken as the delightfully sinister Max Schreck. I've seen this movie quite a few times over the years, not as many times as Burton's 1989 Batman, but enough to know that I've always liked it a lot less, and I finally figured out why. I'm giving Batman Returns a 5 out of 10. Not because it's boring, not because most of the performances are not bad, but because I think there's one incredible movie trapped inside another one that simply doesn't work. The biggest problem with Batman Returns is that it feels like two completely different stories stitched together. One, the good one, is about Selina Kyle and her transformation into Catwoman. The other, the bad one, is about Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin, trying to become Gotham's favorite politician. The Catwoman story, as I said, fantastic, great Batman story. The Penguin story, as I said, honestly, I think it's what drags the whole movie down. Let's start with the good part. Selina Kyle is an executive assistant working for corrupt businessman Max Schreck. She's painfully shy, awkward, constantly underestimated. Today, we'd probably say that she suffers from severe social anxiety. Michelle Pfeiffer absolutely nails this version of Selina. Early in the movie, she's giving off this nervous energy that's both funny and incredibly sad. There's a wonderful scene where she comes home to her apartment and cheerfully says, "Honey, I'm home. Oh, I forgot I'm not married." I used to say that joke all the time. It really stuck with me. It's funny. It's heartbreaking. I don't know if it's heartbreaking. A little bit heartbreaking. And it tells you everything you need to know about how lonely her life is. Even her apartment reflects her personality. Everything is neat, soft, organized, safe. It's excellent visual storytelling and sets up something that will happen later, which I'll talk about in a moment. But Christopher Walken is also fantastic as Max Schreck. He's one of those villains who barely raises his voice. Instead, he's quietly terrifying. When Selina discovers that his proposed power plant isn't actually designed to produce electricity, but to steal it from Gotham, she realizes she's uncovered his entire criminal scheme and talks to him about it. Shrek calmly decides, well, she has to die. What I love about this scene is that Selina kind of has this nervous laughter when he threatens her. And she says something like, "Oh, you can fire me, you can do this, but you can't kill me." And then he's like, "Funny thing," and then pushes her out the window. It's shocking because the movie barely builds up to it. One second she's nervous, the next she's falling to her death. Or is she? Of course, Selina survives because there wouldn't be the best half of the movie if she doesn't, but she barely survives. She returns home physically and psychologically shattered. Then comes one of my favorite sequences in any Batman movie. She destroys her apartment. She tears apart everything that represented the timid version of herself. She literally destroys her old identity before stitching together the Catwoman costume. It's a great visual metaphor, and Michelle Pfeiffer completely changes the way she moves and speaks and carries herself. It's almost like she's playing two entirely different characters, which she is actually. Um, and honestly, she steals the entire movie. She is the only redeemable thing about this movie. Um, One thing that I really love about this is that Catwoman isn't really a hero. She isn't exactly a villain either. She's just deeply damaged because of the fall and the trauma and all of that. She saves a woman from an attempted assault, and she says that the woman shouldn't wait around for Batman to rescue her. She attacks corrupt businessmen. She also causes chaos wherever she goes. She exists in this moral gray area that's much more interesting than making her good or evil. And she also gets almost every great line in the movie when she's about to destroy one of Max Shrek's department stores. She casually kind of flips and looks at Batman and the Penguin and says, meow. So Michelle Pfeiffer somehow turns that single word into one of the movie's most memorable moments because there's like an explosion afterwards. It's great. Great scene. The romance between Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle is probably the only heart of the film. Outside the costumes, they're awkward and strangely drawn to each other. Inside the costumes, they're trying to palmate each other to bloody pulps. There's an especially wonderful scene during the Christmas party. Earlier, Batman tells Catwoman, "Did you know that mistletoe is poisonous if you eat it, or deadly if you eat it?" And she replies, "Did you know that a kiss is deadlier if you mean it?" And then later, Bruce and Selena are dancing and they unknowingly repeat those same lines to each other, but roles reversed. And they both immediately realize who the other really is. And there's like this moment where do we have to start fighting? It's one of the best identity reveal scenes in superhero movies. It is. Again, that part of the movie is really great. But then the Penguin happens, unfortunately. And this is where the movie really loses me. Instead of a short criminal from mastermind from the comics, he's portrayed as a grotesque outcast, abandoned as a baby and raised in the sewers. I don't know how that happens, but Danny DeVito, like, people like this performance because he gives everything to it. Like, he's disgusting, unpredictable, but I honestly don't think that the character works. I think it's just a grotesque person for the sake of being grotesque. So the movie wants us to believe that Gotham would seriously consider electing this bizarre sewer-dwelling man as mayor after only a few carefully staged publicity events. I just don't buy it. His political storyline feels disconnected from everything else. Meanwhile, Max Shrek's power plant conspiracy, the whole point of the movie, so it completely disappears. It's not mentioned again. It's like they wrote two different movies and stitched them together. The second Penguin becomes the focus, the story starts wandering, and not in a good way. Another problem is simply that there are too many major characters competing for attention. You have Batman, of course, it's his movie, Batman Returns. Catwoman, I think that can be a great movie. A Penguin and Max Shrek. Like, basically, get rid of the Penguin and you have a great movie, as I probably made it quite clear. Trying to balance all four of these means that nobody gets enough room. Ironically, not really ironically, the strongest relationship in the movie is Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle. That's the movie I wanted. Instead, the Penguin dominates huge portions of runtime. I still think that Michael Keaton is an excellent Batman. He has this really quiet intensity that makes Bruce Wayne feel kind of haunted. But here, even he's missing some intensity. Like Michelle Pfeiffer is carrying the entire movie and nobody else is helping her, it feels like. And another problem is that this is Tim Burton at maximum Burton and not in a good way. So Elfman's score is fantastic, but I think it's misused. The Gothic production design is unforgettable. Snow-covered Gotham looks incredible, but it's also Tim Burton at his most indulgent. Everything is exaggerated. Everything is theatrical. And no, it does not work. Sometimes it feels like style completely overwhelms the story, especially with Penguin and his circus theme. Like, I don't get that. For me, Batman Returns contains one of the greatest portrayals of Catwoman ever put on screen. Michelle Pfeiffer is phenomenal. Christopher Walken is a terrific villain. Michael Keaton remains a fantastic Batman, but the Penguin story never comes together, despite Danny DeVito giving his all. It distracts from what I think is a much stronger movie about Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle, two lonely, emotionally damaged people who recognize something of themselves in each other. If the film had focused primarily on that relationship and on Max Schreck as a central villain, I honestly think this could have been one of the greatest Batman movies ever. Instead, it's a movie with brilliant individual moments that never quite become a satisfying whole. So I'm giving Batman Returns a 5 out of 10. It's because I think there's an amazing movie hiding inside of it, and unfortunately, that's not quite the movie we got. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time as I continue my journey through every DC movie and TV series ever made.